Hi guys, it's been a while since I've done a video, so I just wanted to jump on here and talk a little bit about some things that I've either been seeing coming up in my field, or I've been healing in myself, or I guess it's basically those two things that are kind of seeing and coming up in other people that I just really want to express. First thing, when I started this journey, and I remember getting this reading from this woman back in like 2016, and it was very beginning, or maybe it was like the end of 2015. She said, you can't be a hypocrite. And she kind of brought up like some discord that I had with my family members. And she's like, if you're going to do this, this is like really important. And I thought, and she started talking about mediumship and all this stuff. And I thought, well, what are you talking about? I'm just a coach, right? Like I'm an emotion code practitioner. I'm just a coach. I wasn't really sure what she was talking about. But when I was in with my clients back then, I started realizing that like it just stuck with me, you can't be a hypocrite. And as I would have some clients that I'm talking to and working with, I'm helping them through their relationship issues. Meanwhile, deep inside, I know I'm in the wrong relationship, right? So I had to really learn how to be honest and true to myself. Now, the next thing for me was I had to learn how to heal myself and heal my relationships. Because again, this is something that we came in here to do, to clean up. We've been taking it with us lifetime after lifetime and thinking that we're going to get it right? So I have, for the past 3 years, have been diligently working on healing myself so I can be my best self for my clients. And I definitely don't want to be a hypocrite. Now, one thing that I am noticing is we have a lot of hypocrites out here in the world. And I say this with love because I was once there, so I'm not judging it, but I'm really asking for people to start looking at themselves. It is so easy to want to go and quote unquote fix somebody else, but you actually came here to fix yourself so that you would know how to fix everybody else. And it's okay if you haven't woken up to that yet, because just like I didn't really wake up to that real reality yet until like 2015, 2016, like on those cusps. It might not be your time yet to do that. So don't rush it, and know that when it presents itself, it is your time. But also pay attention to where maybe you're not being honest with yourself and you're staying in something that's not serving your highest and greatest good for longer than you need to be there. There's so many different angles to look at and variables that play out in all this stuff. But in the end, it still comes back to yourself. That lady even said to me, that's what you got to experience. Now you're here to do what you came here to do. Right? So it was like, hey, you get to go and have fun and live the free life and make mistakes and, go through chaos. But now you got to clean it all up and then do and be the living example of who it is you came here to be. So for me, during those years, I slept a lot. I cried a lot. I looked inside a lot. I meditated a lot. These are 4 major things that I did. I also stayed away from people when I could. Financially, everything was all messy. Still working on the financial aspect a little bit. But again, I also know that it's playing out exactly the way that it's supposed to. And I'm going as fast as I possibly can to get to where it is that I want to be. Because I don't want to carry any of the shit with me anymore. So a lot of us sometimes we go into these, we want love in our life, right? We want better relationships in our life. But how can you actually have the love and the better relationships if you're not willing to let go of the hate and the envy and the jealousy and the anger to let in what it is that you really want? You wish somebody would just see you differently, right? But how are you seeing them? So it's to kind of look back at yourself and to say, how am I creating this in my life? And why is it so important for this other person's view or opinion or judgment of me that has so much power over me, right? Lots of times in my life and my journey, I wished my dad could just see me and hear me for who I am. But if he's not there vibrationally, and it goes over his head and things, it's not for me to get angry at him. It's for me to just know that he's not there vibrationally to see it. We have been working on our relationship and cleaning things up like you wouldn't believe. So it is not bad at all when I say this. I'm just saying sometimes, and it was really bad before, this is what I went through. And there's still times that we go through it. But where I have to look at myself is, if it's still bothering me, that I still have something that I need to clean up. It really never had anything to do with him. He's just the person playing a role, showing me where I'm still wounded. And when you can look at it that simple, you free yourself from things. Like even karma. This is kind of like a really funny irony, like, oops, I did it. But somebody else's karma is helping you clean up your own karma. So, did you get that? Somebody else's karma is helping you clean up your own karma. Now, when I was a little girl, my older sister and I, we would always have to go out in the backyard and rake the leaves every fall. We had this old neighbor, and when we got tired and like done of like raking the leaves, we were like, we'll rake some into her yard. Totally terrible, I know, right? But that's what we did. We were like, let the old lady do it. She likes to be in the outside of nature, right? And I also, so I'm telling you like things that I did when I was younger. So when my mom, growing up, she didn't know how to handle anger. She wasn't a bad person. She just didn't know how to handle it. So even when things were accidents, like I got my ass whooped, right? Like it was a total accident. She went crazy. So I was a teenager, 16-ish or whatever, and we had some guys over at the house. And one of the guys stole a camera from the house. And we didn't get it back. And we went searching for it, and we were trying to get back. And I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Well, at the same time, my little sister had a friend who kept coming over. And she was stealing shit from the house, right? Now, my freaked outness was like, if I tell my mom this is what happened, like, she's going to go crazy. Because even when things are accidents, she goes crazy. So now what the hell am I going to do, right? So I blamed it on the girl. I was like, I don't know, maybe she did it. Right? And I'm like, what me? How terrible is that? It's so terrible. I can't believe we're sharing the story, but that's what I did. So I'm owning my shit. And you'll know why I'm sharing this story with you in a minute. So my mom knew that girl. She was taking like candy, like stupid little things, right? So my mom knew that girl didn't do it. So probably like after my mom passed, I think it was like last year or something, I was feeling like I have to confess this sin to my dad. And I was like, hey, Dad, do you remember the time when blah, 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 and I brought up the camera thing? And he's like, no, but I'm sure your mother would, which my mom would. And I said, okay, well, this is what happened. So I like just let the whole story out, right? Because I felt like really bad and guilty. It was like, hey, I need to confess this thing to you. And he was like, oh, okay, that's nice. I mean, he just didn't even care. He was like, oh, that's great, all right. I'm like, okay, I feel better, bye. So last winter, this is so funny, my neighbor, he must have been going through some stuff, and he was in a funk, and for whatever reason he was shoveling his snow on our side of the driveway. And I was kind of like, that's interesting. Now his girlfriend would come out, and she was cleaning up our half of the driveway. And I was like, what are you doing? I said, you don't have to shovel our side. And I was like, we'll get it. And then I saw like all the snow on top of our driveway. And I knew that her boyfriend had done it. And she came out to clean up his karma, his mess, right? And I didn't say anything. I just thought, because she responded back with, oh, I know I don't need to be doing this, right? So she was like really annoyed inside. And I just thought, okay, it is what it is. But then Spirit shows me, just like you did to your neighbor when you were younger with the leaves, right? So I like busted out laughing. And I thought, oh my God, like this is so funny right now. Karma is a bitch. Like it really does come back. Even in the smallest of smallest things that you did when you were younger. So all of a sudden, it was probably like a week or so later, I got a call from my landlord, and the landlord brings up, this incident that happens, and then says, and the neighbor is saying that you're dumping your snow on their half of the driveway. And I was like, what? And I'm like, no, I said, they did that to us. I said it, and I actually told my son, just don't even worry about it. They're going through some stuff right now. No big deal. So I was like kind of taken back, like, what the fuck, right? Like, this is crazy. And I kind of like laughed. And then all of a sudden I get reminded, like I did to the girl who, you know, didn't steal the camera, but I was just like, shit, what do I do, right? So they were calling to complain, and he kind of thought, oh, she'll probably bring this up, so let me say she did it before it comes back on me, right? But it doesn't really matter. Like, in the end, he created karma that will eventually come back to him, but he was also helping me clean up karma that I did when I was young, right? So you see how things keep coming full circle? Now back to, we'll go even deeper on karma or things, why I didn't do things that I did. So in a past life, I was killed while I was pregnant by my husband because I had an affair with somebody else, right? So I've never cheated on anybody in this life. And I found out from Spirit, the reason I never did was because I knew how painful it was. So that's why I never did it in this lifetime. But I have been the other woman. And my reasoning for that, you know, it's like we're lost. We're not where we know that we should be. And at the time for me, my boyfriend had just passed and I was grieving and I didn't want to feel my pain. And I got myself in a situation that I said I wasn't going to get myself into, and I did it anyways, which created a whole bunch of stuff that lasted, you know, for as long as it did. But it still served whatever purpose it served. And I don't look at it as I know that what I did was not correct. Like, I knew I was not living in my truth when I was doing it. Like, I knew that. And it really, you know, took for me to have to say, I'm not happy here and this isn't right and things are off, to get myself out of it. But it came back again. It's something that has always been a lot happening to me in my life, even before I was the other woman, right? People were cheating on me. But I think the lesson in it for me was for me to kind of learn of how it felt to the person who killed me. Like, why did they go so crazy, right? Because just like when we get cheated on, it doesn't feel good. You know, nobody likes to go through that process until you kind of get to a place in your own spirituality where you're like, oh yeah, they're just doing that. Like, I'm not going to be here anyways. And you lovingly thank them for showing you where you no longer want to be. So, but it also took for me to be like, hey, I did do this to somebody else in a past life, and this is how they felt. And do you now understand and see what you did, right? Because not everything coming back to us is from this life. Some of it is past life stuff. In fact, a lot of these wounds that we trigger and activate, they are from past lives that just got activated in this lifetime. And it's for us to stop and really look at, like, what is going on here and how we are continuing it ourselves by not detaching and forgiving from the truest aspect of who we are. So it can be something as simple as shoveling snow on somebody's, you know, side of the driveway, or raking leaves into somebody's yard. I mean, like, yeah, you could do that. Or it can be bigger things. So we need to hold ourselves accountable for our actions and what we're doing to other people. And again, this really kind of boils down to the golden rule: do unto others as you would want done unto you. So look at where you are beating yourself up. Look at where you are judging. That which you judge, you will experience, right? Look at where you're not being true to who you are, and where you're putting your power. Where are you giving it to so many other people? Because I know there's a lot of people out there that just want to go and fix everybody else, and they're a fucking hot mess inside. Like, yeah, I don't want to look at my shit. Like, I don't have to, but you need to fix yourself. That isn't how this works. That isn't how this works at all. That might have been an old way of how things worked, but that's not where we're going. So it's for everyone to keep looking at themselves and everything that's mirroring around them. right? You are attracting somebody who has addictions, right? Maybe this person, and this is something that Spirit was giving for a client of mine, that person came into your life to show you your own addictions, right? Like, it wasn't to harm you and cause you pain. It was showing you where are you still addicted to the drama, to the chaos, to all the things that you don't really want in your life. This person is showing you where you're not speaking up and respecting yourself. You're not being true to yourself. You're not expressing your needs, wants, and desires, your hurts and your pains to the people that, in your life that you have gone through this journey with. Like, that is something that is a very, very true aspect of my journey, is to go directly to the person and say either, hey, this situation had hurt me and caused me pain, or hey, I can see where I didn't listen to you, where I wasn't being my best self, where I wasn't honoring you. It takes a really big person to atone and accept responsibility for things that they have done, caused, and created that maybe have caused pain in somebody else's life. And I think that we need to slow down a bit and start seeing where we hurt somebody, like where we are not being our best self. Go back and fix it. And this is something that I've been doing for a long time in my journey, is really, like, to my friends, like, I would sit down and I would write cards like, hey, I'm sorry that I didn't show up for you when you were going through XYZ, right? Like, something in your life that I knew I could have been a better friend at, where I missed the mark, and whatever this is. And there is so much grace and beauty in just acknowledging your part in that really can change the dynamics of your friendship and relationships. And sometimes it's just changing it enough to know that you're never going to have to experience this type of relationship with these people ever again. Sometimes people I'm never going to have these people in my life ever again. Well, I would prefer, if I'm doing all this work to create new relationships, to never have to experience the pain, the hardship, the heartache, the loss that I had with these people, and transform my relationship in a new way and still let them be in my life, because I appreciate them. They are a gift. They are me, right? So I don't like closing doors on people. I like to keep the door open, to know you're still my friend and I appreciate you. I mean, there's a time in our life where, we just vibrationally change and we vibrate out of people's lives. But I know for me, if they ever called and said, oh, hey, what's up, right? I would say, oh, I'm doing great. Like, I'd have the conversation. Now, there might be a few exes where I'm like, eye roll, because I know the reason they're reaching out is not just a genuine, like, hey, how are you doing? I appreciate our friendship. It's like, I want to get in your pants or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's different reasons for everything in here, where you're just like, yeah, that one can stay over in that lane. No hard feelings. Love you dearly. I'm not trying to go down that path, but you get what I'm saying, the gist of all this stuff in here. So this weekend and the weeks coming up, there's going to be energies that are coming down for people that it's going to feel hard and harsh, like the universe is kicking your ass. And I know this because this is what I've been going through for the past few years. And I literally felt like I was getting hit left and right. But it was emotionally, energetically, my belief systems, my everything that was being stripped away from me, so I could have a solid foundation and not wobble when things happened. And to really look at myself and really start identifying, like, what is that I really do want in my life? What kind of relationships and friendships do I want in my life? What is important to me? Like, communication is important to me. Honesty is important to me. Integrity is important to me. Really, in acknowledging where you went wrong or where you weren't ideal. true balance is, and healthy relationships is that. It's reciprocating that with everyone around you and the people that you love, and knowing that if they truly love and care about you, they're going to say, I accept your apology, and they're going to keep loving you. It doesn't necessarily mean, sometimes it doesn't mean they're going to, if this is like an intimate relationship, that they're going to get back in a relationship with you, but it's going to say, I know that you misstepped. You weren't being in your divine self during that time. And if I was offended or reacted in some way, I lost myself too. I wasn't being in my divine self in it. A lot of times with clients, there's some things that would come up that I can be really good and be there for them. Almost 99% of the time with my clients, I can do that. And I had to start looking at myself like, hey, wait a minute. People who may have hurt me, quote unquote, in my life, they deserve the same pass that I would give my clients. Like, it's okay. You're doing the best that you can. You're moving in, lightning speed, whatever it is. If they're working on themselves and they're actually doing the work, it's for me, no matter if it's a client or somebody in my life, to give them the same opportunity. Because when we really want what's for the highest good of everyone involved, it means even the people that have hurt you. And it also means for yourself. Give those things that you give your clients, give that to yourself as well. And that's a big one for me. I'm probably hardest on myself, where I'm like, hey, I'm not where I want to be yet. Why isn't this working out yet? But sometimes that energy is what blocks what it is that we really want to let in. So it's to kind of just ease up on yourself if you're being too hard on yourself, and trust that the universe has your back, because it does. Trust yourself. Even if you get hurt, that you're going to be okay. We've all gone through so much stuff on this journey. Us light workers, I know, I'm not the only one that's been watching, interference, as I would call it, that's coming in, and you got these plans and interference happens. And sometimes, I think it's just to get you so strong to the point of where you're just like, yeah, I see it. It had no power over me whatsoever, because then you're like the little ninja that's like making moves and nobody can stop you. It's almost like in the Matrix, where he's like, that's exactly what this is in here, where you're like, and if somebody does get you, they really, it takes you a while to come back from it. You can even just say thank you, because learn my lesson on that one. This was hard, this was painful, I lost myself, or I gave somebody too much power, too much, like I put them on a pedestal, and I think in relationships we sometimes do that too, where we put these people up here, but deep inside we still know that they're still lost and they don't know how to love themselves. So it really goes back to, where did you miss the red flags? Where did you say that you would do this and not honor yourself? So again, this keeps coming back to honoring yourself in the most loving, gentle, respectful way. Because when you do this, you are going to treat everybody else in that way, because you really do understand that they are reflections of you. But one more thing I just want to add with this really quick in this video: you're not responsible for somebody else's role in the discord, in the entanglement that you're in. You are not responsible for that. That was something for me too, where I kept thinking I had to go and clean up a lot of these messes that were kind of like going on. But what I really needed to look at was, hey, I'm only responsible for what I brought into that dynamic, how I reacted and how I treated that person. They are equally responsible and will eventually have to atone. And I don't like using these words, or even like, for their sins. I don't really believe in sins, but atone for their actions is probably like the better way to say this. Just to really make things right. Really look at themselves. Bring the apology to the person. The please forgive me if there was something wrong, and just allow it to easily just go away from that aspect. Because if we really want things to change, we have to change ourselves. We cannot be hypocrites anymore on this journey. We have to look within. We have to see where we're not showing up. Stop letting the outside universe dictate what you know is right and true in your heart. Stop letting what other people say make you think it's okay to not live within your divinity. This is what you experience. This is not who you are. But once you know better, you do better. And you're not going to keep showing up in that way for people. And if you are, the universe will bring it back around again for you until you get it. So I don't know how many times you want to keep getting kicked on your ass, but start looking at what the universe is showing you. I also kind of say this in a way like it's like a cut on your arm, and it takes time to heal, right? And it's easy to see when there's a cut in your arm that it's like, hey, you're hurt, right? Like that's super easy for somebody to see. But when people can't see the energetic wounds that we're all carrying, the betrayal, the heartache, the guilt, the shame, right? Unless you have the psychic ability to see it, or you can feel it emotionally, through your empath. Some people don't understand that these wounds, when the universe brings it around and it kicks you on your ass, is because it was a very deep wound. And the universe is going to bring that situation around again, but this time it might hurt a little less, right? And it's because a lot of it had healed. And then the universe might bring it around a third time, and this time it didn't faze you at all. And that's how you know you cleaned it all up. That's how you know you truly forgive. That's how you know you're no longer carrying the guilt, the shame, the fear, the whatever it is that you're carrying. Because again, these lower energies, they're not divine. That's not who we are. We are just holding on to them, thinking that this is what makes us up as human. But I think that the more divine you are, the easier this path starts to become. So it's up to you how fast and how slow you want to go. You're the creator of your own reality in your world. So again, just start looking at how you're treating other people. Is it with integrity? Are you honoring yourself? Yeah. So that's all I have to say. You can find me at nicolene.life or bsmission.org. BS stands for Beautiful Souls, or Transforming Bullshit into Beauty, because there's a lot of bullshit I've been cleaning up on this journey. Like, what the fuck? All right. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you later.